Every now and then I wake up in the morning, as usual, roll over, give your girlfriend a quick peck on the cheek, she says hi by the way, then open my DMs and discover they are absolutely blowing up, inundated with requests to react to a certain piece of content, a video, or an article. Today is one of those days. My experience in general has been the more requests there are to react to something, the more ridiculous it tends to be. So grab your popcorn, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show as we learn why Volkswagen is set to overtake Tesla in just 2 years. Fuck my life. Let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. I'll do my best to keep the smile off my face. It's going to be a challenge here. Let's read a couple of headlines and skim a few of the articles that are referencing the study that we'll then take a closer look at, and using the term study fairly loosely here. Here we are over on Business Insider. Quote, bumpy road ahead for Elon Musk as Tesla faces losing world's biggest electric car maker crown, study says. Quick summary here, Tesla will lose its title of the world's biggest EV maker by 2024, Bloomberg Unintelligence concludes. Yeah, I think I pronounced that right. It expects Volkswagen to become the world's biggest producer by increasing European and Chinese sales. Tesla accounted for 75% of US electric vehicle sales in the first 3 months of the year. News travels quickly. Here we are on another website reporting the same so-called study. Quote, Volkswagen will become the biggest electric car brand in the next 2 years when sales overtake Tesla from 2024, industry report predicts. Bloomberg Unintelligence predicts Tesla will be top EV seller for the next 18 months. VW will overtake it for global sales in 2024 as demand for battery cars surges. Other mainstream auto firms will remain behind Tesla in 2025, the report suggests. Hey, at least they got something right. And now straight to the source, over on Bloomberg. Category, press announcement. Volkswagen to overtake Tesla's battery electric vehicle sales crown by 2024, finds Bloomberg Unintelligence. Wait, did they actually? Anyway, moving on. Tesla to retain global sales spot for at least another year before Volkswagen, already leading in Europe, likely overtakes it as early as 2024. My life. This is about as probable as the average Tesla Q basement dwelling adult virgin getting laid. Tesla is likely to retain its global #1 battery electric vehicle sales spot for at least another 18 months as legacy automakers struggle to sell a meaningful share of battery electric vehicles in 2022 and 2023, according to a new major report on the global EV sector by research firm Bloomberg Unintelligence, BU. The report, entitled Battery Electric Vehicles Report, Automakers Race to the Top, finds that the profit incentive to catch up with Tesla is lacking for most traditional markets in the short term amid rising battery costs and a lack of scale, except for Volkswagen. And by the way, in fairness, this is relatively accurate. VW is actually producing a significant number of electric vehicles today compared to most other automakers on Earth. But this is not really what we're talking about here today. It's the idea that VW is actually going to overtake Tesla for EV volume. The German automaker is on track to overtake Tesla's battery electric vehicle volume in 2024 as global battery electric vehicle demand is set to more than double out to 2025. Bloomberg Unintelligence analysis shows China's BYD ranking 3rd for battery electric vehicle sales globally in 2025. This is probably accurate, so hey, got to give credit where it's due. They're not completely off the mark. Some reasonable points. Followed by a glut of legacy automakers languishing around the 1 million annual BEV sales mark. It is not until later in the decade that US and Japanese automakers will be serious challengers for a top 3 spot. Ford, Government Motors, etc. Yeah, good luck getting close to the top 3 for years to come. In a bid to challenge Tesla's $686 billion market cap, which is almost double that of all US and European legacy automakers combined, given the fact that most are headed toward bankruptcy, this is more than reasonable. The report highlights that legacy automakers are unlikely to succeed in divesting battery electric vehicle related assets that are intertwined with their combustion operations and whose cash flows are paying for the transition. Again, fairly reasonable points here. Currently, ICE vehicles still being sold profitably, helping to pay for the transition, but ICE vehicles soon will no longer be sold profitably, and then they'll be sold for catastrophic losses. And at the same time, no one's buying ICE vehicles. They're no longer profitable for automakers. They're no longer cost competitive for consumers. It's better to buy an EV. This is the same time these companies need to be investing tens of billions of dollars in ramping up EV production. Doesn't end well. Volkswagen is the exception and is on track to launch an IPO of its Porsche brand in Q4. Given the company's potential 30% battery electric vehicle sales mix in 2023 and about 45% in 2025, it is significantly ahead of peers and could attract the luxury-based €85 billion valuation for the IPO and possibly an even higher tech-oriented valuation, according to the report. Quote, looking ahead, automakers in Europe, China and elsewhere will continue to challenge Tesla via an impending wave of new models. Before we get too much further along, I just do want to point something out. Unless you're a prolific womanizer, a wave of new models doesn't mean shit. What these companies need instead of a wave of new models is at least one compelling model. That's it. That's the formula. 29 different EVs for this company and that company doesn't mean anything if consumers don't want to buy them if they're not compelling. And here's the problem. Just because automakers plan to introduce a bunch of new EV models does not mean a fucking thing. Consumers need to actually buy them and the company needs to be able to produce them profitably lest they go out of business. Though profit incentives are limited amid rising battery costs and a lack of scale. Again, fair point. That may change in 2025 to 2026 as more brands achieve critical mass on new generation models with proprietary software. There are a number of challenging external factors to consider, and bold battery electric vehicle ambitions have done little to prevent crisis-level valuation multiples, stoked by recession fears, rising interest rates, supply chain constraints, and inflation, said Michael Dean, senior European automotive industry analyst. Now, I don't want to be too rude here, but remember the whole automotive analysts, generally speaking, have absolutely no fucking idea when it comes to electric vehicles? Of course, Michael's probably the exception, and the fact that he's involved in Bloomberg unintelligence is just a total coincidence. Battery prices remain critical to the cost competitiveness of BEVs, and Volkswagen is investing up to €30 billion in supply chain, including the opening of 6 new battery cell plants in Europe by 2030. Swedish battery developer Northvolt starts production on premium cells for it in 2023, notes BI, while Audi's mid-size Q4 battery electric vehicle SUV already has a similar margin to its internal combustion engine counterpart, the Q3. Quote, China's carrot and stick approach to stoking EV sales could push battery electrics to account for 25% of all passenger vehicle purchases by 2025. Don't want to rain on anyone's parade here again. I mean, I understand where they're coming from here, but this is a massive underestimate, honestly. 25% by 25? Mate, try about 45%. Could I be wrong? Yes. How could I be wrong? Material shortages. This is the only way this plays out. If companies can get the materials, can get the battery cells, and put them in electric vehicles in China, far in excess of 1/4 of their new vehicle market will be electric by 2025. I know we're just a few years away from that point. This is why I'm emphasizing this so much. People don't get this. Sales in China have surged since the launch of the country's new energy vehicle credit program, despite erratic component supply, said Steve Mann, senior China automotive industry analyst at Bloomberg Unintelligence. So they really are bringing in the big guns here. Automotive industry analysts. Now, it is worth taking a moment here to explain why I'm ripping on these automotive industry analysts. Not personal, and I'm sure these two men might actually be extremely intelligent and actually get it. That would make them the exception to the rule. But given the whole title of automotive industry analyst, you're analyzing the automotive industry. You'd hope your analysis would be pretty close to the mark. So please set a few reminders to check back in early 2026 and let's see how these predictions played out. Volkswagen, BMW, and other foreign brands' sales in China may come at the expense of pricing and profitability, having ceded first-mover advantage to Tesla and local makers. BYD, NIO, and XPeng and other local firms are rapidly closing the technology and branding gaps, wooing consumers not only with driving range and power, but also lower prices, luxury trim, and even virtual reality entertainment. Quote, Ford is set to spin the electric vehicle narrative away from Tesla, with the F-150 Lightning getting an early and year-long jump on the competition and making Ford the first automaker to ramp up production of a full-size battery-only pickup truck. Government Motors and Tesla won't compete in the space before 2023, and Rivian's small scale makes it unthreatening. Now, for the record, it's true, Ford actually doing the right things here, getting an electric F-150 to market. This is a great decision, a great move, but in the scheme of things, it's not a huge deal. It will take a few years before consumers start to cotton on to an electric pickup truck, especially from Ford. Tesla Cybertruck at this point in time will be ramping up, will be produced, will be released, will be going on streets. People go, what the actual fuck is that? They'll see it on work sites. People will be kicking, throwing rocks at it, going, hey, look, it doesn't even scratch, man. Check this out. Next minute, people go, oh, I might buy a Cybertruck. And here we have the crux of the entire video. Top 10 automaker battery electric vehicle sales forecast to 2025. Tesla in orange here, Volkswagen in white. We'll notice out of nowhere, Volkswagen just suddenly catching up to Tesla, inexplicably, I might add. But that's not what I want to focus on here. What I want to focus on, rather than the trend and the absurd idea that out of nowhere, Volkswagen just suddenly starts outgrowing Tesla, massively increasing their production capacity at a far faster rate than Tesla. I mean, okay, I just want to look at the actual numbers here because these are just ridiculous and they won't age well and it's embarrassing. And I hope everyone involved in this study in a few years' time can come out and say, hey, we were completely wrong. I mean, that's very surprising because after all, we are automotive industry analysts, but our analysis of the automotive industry was completely fucking wrong and we're embarrassed and ashamed we ever put this out there. Sorry, we made a mistake, a big mistake, and we're never going to make any future predictions because we no longer have any credibility. But I doubt that's going to happen. But anyway, let's look at the numbers and compare these to my own estimates for Tesla's vehicle production and deliveries. So if we pay close attention to these estimates here from Bloomberg Unintelligence, we notice a trend. The trend is as follows. For some strange reason, Tesla, in the orange here, has a linear increase in production capacity. Linear, not exponential, linear. It's almost a straight line up. Now, you might think, well, that's great. They're growing capacity. That's fantastic. But let's just rewind a little bit and do some thinking. I know it might hurt, but it's important. How many plants did Tesla have producing electric vehicles back in 2018? 1. By the end of 2019, how many plants did Tesla have? 2. And now in 2022, how many plants does Tesla have? 4. So we've gone 1, 2, 4. Not to mention the massive expansion in Shanghai. I could continue going on. So far, irrespective of Tesla's publicly stated goal of 20 million electric vehicles per year in 2030, so far we've already seen evidence of Tesla growing their capacity exponentially. Yet, the 420 IQ geniuses at Bloomberg Intelligence here think for some reason, despite an exponential increase in production capacity previously, historically, plus an exponential increase in production capacity in the future, for some reason, Tesla's production capacity isn't actually going to track directly with their exponential increase. Instead, it's going to be linear. On the other hand, out of nowhere, Volkswagen is actually going to see a slightly exponential increase in their production capacity. According to these estimates, in 2022, Volkswagen delivers about half, maybe a little bit over half as many electric vehicles as Tesla does. But in 2023, about 80% the number. And then in 2024, suddenly they've overtaken Tesla. And in 2025, same deal. They've maintained that lead. Now, this to me just reeks of brain damage. Let's have a look at my own estimates. In fact, just because I love you guys and girls, I'm going to stack them visually so you can see what my bear case, what my base case, and what my bull case estimates for Tesla's production, which will equal sales because, as we know, they have way more demand than they need. So every vehicle they produce, they will sell for years to come. Let's see how these look. So as you can see, I've had to make some fairly major adjustments to the chart and the scale here. So let's zoom in a little bit. I've kept things as they were. I've just extended the chart out to account for my own estimates. The difference between these BI estimates and my own, I've just added them on top so we can see the difference where they were versus where I'm at. Let's zoom in just a little bit so it's easier to see. So this is what things look like for me. VW here in the white, Tesla in the green. Keeping in mind, this is my bear case, worst case scenario with a 3% probability, roughly a 1 in 30 chance. If just about everything that can go wrong does go wrong, yes, material shortages, blah, 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 delays, blah, 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 all of it. This is where we end up in the bear case, in my opinion. And by 2025, a fairly stark difference with Tesla still outproducing Volkswagen by about 2 to 1. Of course, I could be wrong. The question is, will I be wrong? And for one example of exactly how I could be wrong, massively underestimating. This is my base case. 69% probability. By the way, if you guys are confused about these are what produce my price targets, available exclusively over on Patreon. My Tesla valuation model is what produces my price targets. My Tesla price targets are available to all Patreon supporters on all levels. Check out the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment to join. And my Tesla valuation model, which includes my estimates for Tesla production in the bear case, the base case, the bull case, and the hyper bull case, all the way out until 2032, is available to Patreon supporters at the investor level and above. That's where these estimates are coming from. So in my base case, which I believe is about a 69% probability, but really, in other words, better than a coin toss, this is what we're looking at there. Again, zooming in a little bit, I've obviously had to extend this quite a bit. We can see how things look visually. Slightly above Bloomberg estimates in 22, slightly above in 23, dramatically above in 24, and enormously above in 25. Just clear these off for a sec. My base case estimates in 2025, probably about 35 to 45% above Bloomberg's own estimates. This may account for why they think at some point Volkswagen's going to catch up. I just want to note something, guys. This is an exponential trend, okay? That's what things should look like if a company is increasing their production capacity at an exponential rate, which is exactly what Tesla's been doing. This is a reasonable projection. The important thing to understand here is, in general, humans are morons when it comes to understanding exponential growth. It's unintuitive. This is one of the major errors the so-called experts make over and over and over when predicting disruptive technology and innovation. In approximately 0 out of 4 trillion cases, when a new disruptive innovative technology that was multiple times better than the previous technology appeared on the market, 99% of the experts got it completely wrong to the downside, always underestimating, there's no way that could happen that fast. Well, we're in the same situation once again with EV adoption estimates. Everyone massively off the mark, and I mean massively. Estimates from around 6-7 years ago, at best, maybe 250,000 electric vehicles were meant to be sold in 2022. Tesla alone is selling more vehicles in 2022 per quarter than the entire global automotive market was meant to be doing, according to the so-called experts. But don't worry, this time they haven't fucked it up. This time they've got it right. This time they haven't made the same mistake. This time they've actually accounted for exponential growth. Oh wait, they haven't. And now let's move on to my bull case, which I assign a 25% probability. 1 in 4 chance. Really simple. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but if lots of things go right, this is where we could end up. Assuming Tesla can get the materials and the battery cells to actually put in the vehicles, this will play out. Of course, there's a big if on getting the materials and the cells. We might have a massive constriction in terms of supply constraints throughout the decade. But if Tesla can solve these bottlenecks, I believe this is a relatively high probability. Like I said, 25% chance. They just need a few things to go right, especially around material sourcing. Let's zoom in a little bit. As you can see, in this scenario, Tesla leaves literally the entire industry in the dust. By 2024, well over 4.5 million vehicles produced. 2025, about 5.75 million vehicles produced in a single year, and yes, all of them sold. In terms of the gap between number 2, which is likely to be Volkswagen in fairness, and Tesla, I think this is the most realistic ratio. Now maybe VW ramps their production a little bit slower, a little bit faster than we expect, but in general, I expect Tesla on average to be producing about twice as many vehicles as VW is annually moving forward. In worst case, maybe 50%, and in the best case, significantly over 100%. This is what things look like visually. Now, I do want to be clear. I could absolutely be wrong, and again, this is my bull case. The base case and the bear case, quite a big difference here. We can see in every case, however, Tesla's significantly ahead of the so-called competition. I've actually downloaded the full report, runs in at 33 pages. I just want to go through a few highlights to explain why the geniuses over at Bloomberg Intelligence are anything but. Just a few key highlights. Quote, our scenario analysis suggests a 15% global battery electric vehicle market share in 2025 versus 6% in 2021. In other words, global battery electric vehicle market share approximately doubling in the next 3 years. Now, to some, that may sound like insane growth. And to this guy, it's an absolute joke to the downside. Once again, this will not age well. I just want to really get this on the record, okay? These idiots think in 2025, just 15% of new vehicle sales will be fully electric vehicles. They're dreaming. Here's a bet. If you double this figure to 30%, that will be closer to the actual number than 15. And I stand by that. Another highlight here, quote, despite the hyperbole, are they talking about me? Our scenario analysis indicates, I just love this, our scenario analysis indicates the global battery electric vehicle sales mix will only reach 15% in 2025 versus about 6% in 2021 because we are very smart. The US and other areas will lag behind, with the former's battery electric vehicle share expected to hit 6% in 2025 versus 3% in 2021. Again, the same math, they're expecting approximately a doubling in the next 3 years. I just want to show you guys what this looks like visually. It's hilarious and embarrassing all at the same time. This is not exponential growth, okay? This is linear. We're seeing a linear decline in petrol cars, petroleum, gasoline for you Americans, and we're seeing a linear increase in battery electric vehicles, okay? Yet all the evidence so far is showing exponential increases in battery electric vehicle sales and exponential decreases in ICE vehicle sales. Yet the projections here from Einstein, Newton, and everybody else involved in this report, all linear assumptions. What planet are they on? It's definitely not this one. Maybe this will help us to understand why they're so f***ing dumb. I mean, wrong, not dumb, just wrong. You can be wrong and not be dumb. Tesla volume runway may shorten as automaker peers get serious. Oh, that's right. You heard it here first, folks. The competition is finally getting serious and actually coming all over themselves. Unit sales growth of 53% in 2022 and 39% in 2023. Here we go. Based on consensus, Here's a major error. They're relying on consensus estimates from people that don't have any place whatsoever estimating anything because they have no credibility, they've been completely wrong the entire time, and they will continue to be wrong. If you get the consensus opinion from a bunch of morons, you're going to end up with a moronic consensus opinion. This is no way to research. So, based on consensus rather than our own thinking, it's never wise to outsource your thinking, by the way, signals a likely slowdown in vehicle deliveries as established automakers commit to meaningful battery electric vehicle volume. That's right, according to Bloomberg Unintelligence, who have outsourced their thinking to the so-called experts. The experts believe that there's going to be a slowdown in Tesla's production, and therefore, that's right, an opportunity for the competition to catch up. And some more hilarity here. Having originally expected Volkswagen to overtake Tesla on battery electric vehicle volume in 2023, consensus, just want to reiterate, consensus, the opinions that they're still relying on, which were completely wrong about Volkswagen overtaking Tesla in 2023. But don't worry, it'll be next year. We'll be right this time, we promise. Consensus now calls for the US automaker to double sales in 2023 versus 2021. Our scenario analysis suggests VW is on track to become the battery electric vehicle market leader in 2024. Assisted, and this, oh god, this is funny. I mean, the amount of brain damage on display today is just stunning. Assisted by the launch of 16 new models, including the Audi Q6, which no one will buy, the A4 e-tron, which no one will buy, the A6 e-tron, which no one will buy, the ID5 and 6, which no one will buy, and that's assuming they can actually get the software working, the ID Buzzkill, and the Porsche Macan. In other words, the more models of electric vehicle a company tells us they're going to produce, the more vehicles they'll sell. It's automatic. More models equals more sales, and that's how you overtake Tesla. Just ask the consensus. And again, I just want to emphasize, these idiots here, linear growth. Despite all evidence showing we're seeing battery electric vehicle growth increase exponentially, yet their projections are linear. Time for just a little bit more brain damage in action. European sales mix by powertrain. Again, we've got some more projections. Now, do you notice something? Once again, linear growth and linear declines. This doesn't make any fucking sense at all. And unfortunately for Bloomberg Bellends, the trend continues. China's sales mix by powertrain again, these are projections from Bloomberg Unintelligence. Once again, a linear decrease in petrol, aka gasoline, aka ICE vehicle sales in pink, and a linear increase in battery electric vehicles, plug-in hybrids, blah, 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 blah. Another absolute doozy quote. Tesla's thin lineup of just 2 locally built models and the repositioning of its Shanghai plant as an export hub may cost it more market share in China. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Tesla needs more vehicle models. That's the only possible way they can keep increasing their production capacity and keep selling more vehicles. Because the 2 vehicles they have aren't category killers. They aren't the best in their class, by miles. They're not so compelling, so good they sell themselves. Tesla needs at least 69 different models to stand any chance of increasing their production capacity in the future, obviously. Because more models equals more sales. That's the only way it could possibly happen. That's why Apple has 52,000 different varieties of iPhone right now. Oh wait, they don't. Huh. There's a few very valuable lessons in today's video. The first, don't outsource your thinking, ever. Okay? Don't rely upon the opinions, the consensus opinions of so-called experts, especially if their track record is atrocious. Expert opinions, consensus opinions can be a starting point for your own thinking, your own thought process, your own reasoning, but that's all it should ever be. The folks over at Bloomberg Unintelligence have made a few major errors here. First and foremost is relying upon the experts, the consensus opinions of people who have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Why would you do that? The second, despite all the evidence to the contrary, these idiots are assuming, despite the fact that EV production and adoption and sales are growing exponentially at this point in time, their future predictions suddenly become linear. Another extremely idiotic assumption and error of reasoning here is the more vehicle models a company produces, the more vehicles they'll be able to sell. Obviously, I mean, more vehicles, duh. Everyone wants something different, right? No, one category killer per category is all you need to be successful. Adding complexity just means you benefit less from economies of scale. You can't absolutely nail your product, you spread too thin, and you're ultimately doomed. You can't focus, you can't dominate. And the final lesson to take from today's video, just about every single so-called expert, and I mean almost all of them, like 99.9%, are absolutely, completely and utterly dead fucking wrong about the pace of EV adoption and sales. Apart from Tony Seba, the folks over at ARK Invest, Cathy Wood & Co., I've yet to see anyone else make any predictions about EV adoption in the future that even seem close to reality. Of course, these are the few folks, the outliers, that sound crazy at the time. Everyone laughs, mocks and ridicules until they're right, and right again, and right again. I cannot believe that this report from Bloomberg Unintelligence claims that battery electric vehicle sales will make up just 15% of the global vehicle market in 2025. I hope by 2025, everyone involved in this report either resigns in disgrace or publicly comes out and says, we were very wrong, we are sorry, and we're never, ever going to attempt to make predictions about the future again because we're so embarrassed by our past attempts that we're just giving up. But I find that unlikely. I suspect in 2025, we'll see a report about how the consensus opinion thought this would happen in 23, then 24, then 25, but now it's definitely going to happen in 26. You guys can see where this is going. And the final point I want to underscore, if all the so-called experts think this is going to happen, but the reality is this, the gap in between, again, massive opportunity. Don't say I didn't warn you. And just to be clear, I'm no expert either. I'll be wrong about a lot of things. Probably a lot less things than the so-called experts, but I still will be wrong about some stuff. It's inevitable. That's why I have scenarios weighted by probability in my Tesla valuation model, because I don't know what's going to happen. I'm trying to account for worst case, best case, somewhere in the middle. As I mentioned earlier, all the assumptions we saw for Tesla production, the bear case, the bull case, the base case, are available in my Tesla valuation model, and they are what produces my Tesla price targets, which are available exclusively on Patreon. So click the card in the corner to join, or the link in the pinned comment. And I have a favor to ask. Everyone watching, please keep me accountable. The reason I make these predictions out loud in public, the internet never forgets, is so I can be reminded of my obnoxious, arrogant, overconfident predictions in the future, how they pan out. So please set a reminder, 2026, early 2026, so we've got the latest data from 2025, and let's see, what did Tesla's production look like? What did their sales look like for electric vehicles versus Volkswagen? And most important of all, what percent of the new vehicle market was battery electric in 2025? Was it 15%, as the clown show is expecting, or was it closer to 30%, as I suggested? Hey, just double their 15%, that'll be closer to the market than where they're at. They're off by that much. So please set a reminder to check back in early 2026 and let's keep me accountable. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.